On December 15, 2025, disaster struck King County, Washington, as a powerful storm system unleashed relentless rain across the region. For days, meteorologists had warned of an atmospheric river, an intense band of moisture streaming in from the Pacific Ocean, bringing record rainfall to the Pacific Northwest. Residents watched nervously as rivers swelled and the ground became saturated, but few could have predicted the scale of what was about to unfold. In the early morning hours, a critical section of the Green River Levee near Tukwila gave way, unable to withstand the mounting pressure of floodwaters. The collapse sent a torrent of muddy water surging into the valley below. Water surged through the breach, racing across fields and roads, threatening thousands of homes and businesses in the valley. Streets that had been quiet just hours before were suddenly transformed into rivers, with cars and debris swept along by the current. The levee had long been a concern for officials and engineers, who had warned that aging infrastructure and climate change were increasing the risk of failure. But this time, the relentless rain pushed the system past its limits, overwhelming even the most robust defenses. The failure triggered an immediate flash flood warning, blaring across phones, televisions, and radios. For many residents, there was little time to react as sirens wailed and emergency alerts urged them to evacuate or seek higher ground. Emergency responders sprang into action, racing door to door to alert the public and coordinate a rapid response. Firefighters, police, and volunteers worked side by side, setting up makeshift flood barriers and helping people escape the rising waters. The break put low-lying industrial and residential areas at immediate risk, with warehouses, factories, and entire neighborhoods quickly inundated. Businesses faced devastating losses, and families scrambled to save what they could. Urgent messages flooded the airwaves, instructing people to seek higher ground, avoid flooded roads, and check on neighbors. Community centers opened as emergency shelters, offering refuge to those forced from their homes. The community braced for impact, watching in disbelief as the situation unfolded in real time. Families gathered around radios and televisions, anxiously awaiting updates and hoping for the best. This crisis underscored the vital role of infrastructure like levees in protecting lives and property. It also highlighted the urgent need for investment in maintenance and upgrades, as climate-driven storms become more frequent and severe. When such defenses fail, the consequences are swift and severe. Streets disappear beneath the water, vehicles are stranded, and entire communities are forced to confront the reality of nature's power. The Green River Levee breach became a test of the community's readiness and resilience. Volunteers filled sandbags, neighbors helped each other evacuate, and local organizations mobilized to provide food, shelter, and support. It was a stark reminder: when extreme weather strikes, preparation and communication save lives. The events of that day would leave a lasting mark on King County, shaping how the community prepares for disasters in the future. The breach occurred at the Desimone Levee, a key flood barrier behind Rainier Industries in a densely industrialized valley. This area is a major economic engine, filled with warehouses and distribution centers. The flat terrain allowed water to spread rapidly, threatening roads, railways, and businesses. The levee's known weaknesses meant officials were monitoring it closely, enabling a faster response. Still, the force of the river overwhelmed initial efforts, and water surged toward nearby communities. The breach's location put not just industry, but thousands of homes in Tukwila, Renton, and Kent at risk. Stopping the flood at its source became the top priority. The initial flooding in the industrial park was only the beginning. If left unchecked, the water could devastate residential neighborhoods. Containing the breach was a race against time for everyone involved. The National Weather Service immediately issued a flash flood warning for west central King County. This urgent alert meant flooding was imminent or already underway. Code red alerts went out to homes and businesses in the flood path, urging people to move to higher ground. The warning covered Tukwila, Renton, and Kent, creating a sense of urgency across the region. Phones buzzed with emergency messages, prompting swift action. Technology allowed officials to reach those most at risk within minutes. The goal: ensure no one was caught off guard by the rapidly rising water. This rapid, targeted communication was crucial for public safety. The community's response in these first hours would determine the outcome. In a flash flood, every second counts. Initial estimates put over 46,000 people in the potential flood zone, including residents, workers, 2 schools, and a hospital. The threat to critical facilities like hospitals heightened the urgency. Early computer models showed a worst-case scenario, but as crews assessed the breach, they refined the risk. The water was initially contained in the industrial area, buying precious time. By afternoon, officials revised the number at immediate risk to about 6,000 people. These were the residents and workers in the most vulnerable, low-lying neighborhoods. Emergency efforts shifted to focus on this group, targeting evacuations and resources. Accurate, real-time information allowed for a more effective response. The evolving risk assessment was key to protecting those most in danger. Disaster response depends on quickly narrowing the focus to where help is needed most. With the threat now undeniable, local officials acted swiftly, issuing a strong evacuation alert for the Aurelia area. The message was clear: safety was the top priority, and immediate action was needed to protect lives. The alert extended to parts of Tukwila, Renton and Kent, where heavy rain and rising river levels posed a serious risk to thousands of residents. Residents were urged to leave their homes before floodwaters could block escape routes, with officials emphasizing the importance of acting quickly and not waiting until the last minute. Code red messages, emergency alerts, and news broadcasts provided detailed instructions, letting people know exactly which neighborhoods should evacuate and where to find safe shelter. People quickly gathered essentials, important documents, medications, and cherished belongings, moving to higher ground or designated shelters as the water continued to rise. Many found comfort with friends or family, grateful for a safe place to stay while the danger passed. Meanwhile, emergency crews worked tirelessly to repair the levee and reinforce sandbags along the riverbank, determined to hold back the floodwaters and protect the community. Thanks to these efforts, the situation began to improve by evening, and the immediate threat started to subside. The evacuation alert was eventually lifted, allowing families to return home and assess the aftermath. However, officials cautioned that the risk wasn't over. The weather remained unpredictable, and the river was still dangerously high. The community remained at ready level 1, alert and prepared, but not panicked. Residents listened closely to updates and advice from emergency officials. People were reminded to keep their go kits ready, stay alert for new warnings, and monitor updates on their phones and radios. The river remained swollen, its fast-moving current a reminder of how quickly conditions could change. More rain was in the forecast, and everyone knew that vigilance was still needed to stay safe. The message was clear. While the immediate crisis had passed, the community needed to remain cautious and prepared for whatever might come next. Families reviewed emergency plans together, making sure everyone knew what to do if conditions changed again. Through it all, neighbors supported one another, sharing information and lending a hand to those in need. Staying prepared and working together remained essential as the weather threat continued, ensuring the safety and resilience of the entire community. King County's emergency response was swift and impressively coordinated, with teams springing into action the moment the flood threat became clear. Emergency managers quickly assessed the situation, activating protocols that had been practiced but rarely tested at this scale. The operations center became a hive of activity, with responders working around the clock to monitor conditions and direct resources where they were needed most. Within just a few hours, crews mobilized heavy equipment and specialized vehicles, racing against the rising water to plug the breach before it could widen. The logistics of moving such large machinery through flooded roads and unstable ground required careful planning and teamwork. Muddy, rain-soaked conditions made the work dangerous and difficult. Workers faced slippery slopes, unpredictable currents, and the constant threat of further levee collapse. Despite these hazards, they pressed on, determined to protect the community. Teams quickly built a temporary road to access the breach, then began filling the gap with truckloads of rocks and gravel. This improvised barrier was designed to slow the water's force, buying precious time for more permanent repairs. Meanwhile, officials worked tirelessly to keep the public informed. Live updates, press conferences, and emergency alerts were issued throughout the day, ensuring that residents knew what was happening and how to stay safe. Clear, transparent communication from leaders helped reduce panic and build trust. Community members listened closely, reassured by the steady presence of emergency officials and local leaders. By late evening, the temporary repair held strong. the uncontrolled flooding finally stopped, and the river's flow was stabilized, preventing further damage to the area. The flash flood warning and evacuation alert were officially canceled, bringing a sense of relief to thousands of anxious residents who had been watching the situation unfold. Thanks to the quick and decisive action of emergency crews, the disaster was contained before it could spread to residential neighborhoods. Sandbag barriers and temporary levees held back the water, protecting homes and families. The emergency crews' tireless efforts were a decisive victory for the community, earning gratitude and praise from residents and officials alike. Their work bought valuable time for engineers and planners to develop a more permanent solution to the flood threat, ensuring the community's safety in the days ahead. As the immediate danger passed, the region breathed a collective sigh of relief, grateful for the dedication and bravery of those who responded. But the job was far from over. The emergency response was only the beginning of a long recovery and rebuilding process, as crews continued working to strengthen the levee and prevent future disasters. As evacuations began, King County opened several emergency shelters for displaced residents. Locations included the Auburn Community and Event Center, Ray of Hope Shelter, and a 24-hour pet-friendly shelter at the Evergreen State Fairgrounds. These shelters offered warmth, food, and a safe place to stay. Volunteers and emergency workers provided essentials and updates on the situation. For many, the shelters were a lifeline during a stressful time. Accommodating pets helped ensure more people evacuated safely. The shelter system showed the community's commitment to caring for everyone affected. No one faced the emergency alone. The levee failure was part of a larger weather crisis across western Washington. A series of atmospheric rivers brought days of relentless rain, swelling rivers and saturating the ground. Flood watches were in effect for the entire region, with landslides and road closures adding to the chaos. Major highways were shut down, straining emergency resources. The Green River breach was just one of many threats facing the area. The ongoing rain meant the danger wasn't over, even after the levee was patched. The atmospheric river was the root cause of the crisis. The community had to stay vigilant as the weather system continued. Extreme weather events like this are becoming more common and more dangerous. With the immediate danger past, the community reflected on the lessons learned. The temporary levee repair was only a stopgap. Long-term solutions were urgently needed. Residents were urged to keep emergency kits ready and stay informed as the flood watch continued. The event highlighted the need for investment in stronger infrastructure and better flood defenses. Officials called for a review of the entire levee system to prevent future disasters. The experience was a wake-up call for everyone living in the floodplain. Staying engaged, knowing your risk, and preparing for emergencies are now more important than ever. Community resilience depends on proactive planning and cooperation. Together, residents and officials can build a safer, more prepared future.